So the Lunar Awakening event has returned to Diablo 4, and with this event you're able to earn a ton of pretty good rewards, including some new free cosmetic items and the ability to earn another Resplendent Spark pretty easily. So in this video I want to go over how the event works and the best ways to go about farming it, and this will allow you to complete the reputation track for this event in 1 to 2 hours pretty easily. And I say 1 to 2 hours, but realistically, if you're doing this at all optimally, you'll be able to do it in an hour, even a bit quicker if you have a bit of a better build. And make sure when you first log in to follow the quest pop-up that'll take you to Kedbardu. You just talk to the event vendor for this event, and then that's all you need to do before you start grinding. And this event is pretty simple in how it works. Pretty much all the shrines throughout the game have been turned into Lunar Awakening shrines, so they look a bit different and they'll have a little purple icon on them, and all of the buffs you would normally be getting from shrines are massively buffed up. Conduit shrines are still completely useless. And then when you go and click on that shrine, you'll get the normal duration buff that's now a buffed up version of the normal shrines, and you'll get a 2-minute buff that gives you 100% increased experience, which is multiplicative. Now, while the normal buff duration is active, anything you kill will give you reputation towards the event track. And on the event track, you'll have a bunch of bags that can give you a bunch of loot, the Resplendent Spark, the new free cosmetics, and you'll also just be getting a bunch of other boxes out of those bags that will give you a bunch of additional loot, including actually tons of runes. So basically all you're really needing to do is find a shrine, click it, and then kill things while your shrine buff is active, and that'll give you reputation. Now they also do spawn a wave of enemies around the shrine to give you a bit of free reputation really easily, but at a baseline that's all you're going to need to do. Get a shrine buff and kill things while it's active. And it seemed that there's two pretty good ways to go about doing this. One being in the open world, one being in the new root hole dungeons. Now the first one being the new root hole dungeons. Now this one isn't necessarily infinitely farmable because you do need the Whispering Wood to get inside the root hole dungeons, but I do think if you're still progressing through your witch powers or anything else throughout this season, that this is probably going to be more lucrative overall, because every root hole you go into will have at least one shrine within it, usually within the second section of the root hold. So you enter the root hold, you choose your first buffs, go through that first section, choose between the second set of buffs, and then in that next section, you're going to run around and look for this shrine first. Then you're going to activate that shrine and go through and try to clear out pretty much the entirety of the dungeon while your shrine buff is active. Don't kill anything until you find the shrine, because then you'll just have more things to go and defeat. Then you just go to the end and kill the boss. Now this will give you a lot of loot in general, because you're also doing the root hold, which is pretty juice on loot. You're also getting your witch power currency, so you're in general getting a lot more out of this farm. But if you're just looking for reputation, this may be slightly slower than the other method. And the other method is you're just going to be running around in the open world looking for these shrines, because you're going to find a lot more of these shrines in the open world than trying to say run through a bunch of dungeons. You're just going to find them more consistently, and you can very easily move around and cover a lot of distance while just running around on your mount. Now another really good thing about running around in the open world while doing this is that the random public events you find, so the orange circles, can also have a new event in them specific to the Lunar Awakening event. You'll be able to easily see if the events are a Lunar Awakening event, because in the middle there will be a grayed out shrine in it. Now these events are basically just waves of enemies. Once you kill a certain amount of enemies, the shrine in the middle will activate. Go ahead and activate it, and then just complete the rest of the event killing these waves of enemies while you have the shrine buff. That's pretty much all it is. And then you get a chest of loot at the end, and these will also be pretty decent for reputation because it's just spawning enemies on top of you while you have this shrine buff. Now outside of that, you're really just going to be running around the open world. Now what I also like to do is to go to all of the head hunts that are currently up and look around in those first, because for the majority of the head hunts there'll be at least one shrine somewhere within it. Now some of the bigger head hunts will have 2, maybe even 3 shrines within them, And these are so good, and these are incredibly strong because headhunts have crazy high density, especially if you go to the headhunt in Nahantu. Nahantu just generally has higher density than all of the other regions, and then you put a headhunt in there and the density is absolutely crazy. So just run around all of the headhunts, look for the shrines. After you've done that, then you just run around wherever else you want to run around in, and you'll find shrines on a pretty regular basis. And again, just click that shrine, kill anything you possibly can while the buff is active, and that's pretty much all you're going to be doing. And using any of these methods should allow you to finish the whole reputation track within an hour, maybe a little bit longer if you get really unlucky, especially if you find a bunch of conduit shrines back to back to back, which I did find, because conduit shrines, for whatever reason, even though they were buffed, they're still completely useless. Like, you can kill a few weaker non-elite enemies when you're in the conduit shrine, but you're legitimately not even going to be able to kill like one elite or champion enemy or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. If you find a conduit shrine, you're not going to be getting a lot of reputation. And a few things to note when doing this is you can't go back and get the reputation track rewards on all of your alt characters. That would honestly be way too easy to be able to infinitely farm resplendent sparks. But after you get max rank, you will still be able to infinitely get more reputation to keep getting bags of loot like we can get with the seasonal reputation. So keep that in mind. You still will be able to keep farming a bunch of additional rewards. And these bags of loot from this event are much more lucrative than the ones from the season. So if you're continuing to play, try to optimize it anytime you get a shrine, because that will just keep giving you even more loot on top of everything. But those are seeming to be the most efficient ways to go about farming the Lunar Awakening event. You're just getting a ton of additional loot and experience partaking in this event. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.